why you only need 30 days to start your side hustle in any niche. We're going to look at 3 different ways you can use YouTube to build income, because the biggest problem with starting a side hustle isn't actually finding an opportunity, it's deciding which opportunity to choose. There are so many people telling you how to make money online, start a blog or a podcast, even a course, become a social media influencer, and after watching about 47 videos, you know exactly what you knew before you started: absolutely nothing. Just save your money for something like this. The library itself saves hours of work. So let's simplify this. Your first 30 days aren't about trying everything. They're about choosing one direction and getting the basic system working. And the first thing I want you to understand is this: a side hustle is simply any way of earning extra money outside your main job, so you don't need 20 hours a day. In fact, if your side hustle requires you to work 20 hours a day, that's another job, and that's not what we're trying to do, especially if you're over 50 and you're looking at building retirement or extra income. You want something that becomes simpler as you get older, not something that becomes more complicated. So let's break your first 30 days into 3 stages. Stage 1 is days 1 to 7, and this is where you decide what you're actually going to build. Don't start by buying equipment. Instead, decide 3 things. Who are you trying to help? What problem do they have? And what solution can you help them find? That's it. Because millions of people are going onto YouTube every single day looking for answers. They're not necessarily looking for celebrities. They're looking for someone who can solve their problem. And you don't have to know everything. You just need to know a little bit more than the person you're helping. That's a huge difference. So during your first 7 days, choose your audience, choose the problem, and write down a list of questions that person is already asking. Those questions become your video ideas, and that brings us to stage 2, days 8 to 14. Create your first targeted YouTube videos. Notice I said targeted, not hundreds, not daily. One good video aimed at the right person can be far more useful than 10 random videos that nobody is searching for. And this is where YouTube becomes very interesting. You don't necessarily need a huge audience. Imagine you create a video answering a very specific problem. A small number of people find it, but they're exactly the people who need the answer. That's much more valuable than having thousands of viewers who don't care about your subject. So your goal isn't simply views. Your goal is relevance. Get the right person to watch the right video. Now let's look at the first way YouTube can potentially make money: advertising revenue. This is the obvious one. You make videos, people watch them, advertisements are shown, and if you qualify for YouTube's monetization program, you can earn a share of that advertising revenue. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the problem. If you're starting from scratch, you don't want your entire business model to depend on getting enormous viewing numbers, because that can take time. And if your goal is retirement income or a flexible side hustle, there are other ways to think about YouTube, which brings us to stage 3, days 15 to 21. Start thinking about what happens after somebody watches your video. This is something many beginners completely overlook. They think the video is the business. It isn't. The video can simply be the doorway. Someone watches, they have a problem, you give them useful information, and then you give them a logical next step. That next step could be your own product. It could be a service. It could be a digital guide. It could be a course. It could be something else that genuinely solves the next part of their problem. And this is where you start moving away from simply collecting views. You're building a relationship, you're helping someone, and potentially you're creating an income stream around that relationship. This is also where building an email list becomes important, because YouTube controls the platform. Your email list is something you own. I will say again, your email list is something you own. If someone chooses to join your list because you've provided something genuinely useful, you now have another way of continuing the conversation. And if you'd like help putting all of this together, this is exactly why this was created. Free masterclass, the $0, $10,000 simple roadmap. It's designed to give you a clearer step-by-step path rather than making you jump from one guru's idea to another. I am over 80 and I use the roadmap every time I make a video, as the step-by-step video library is great because you can pause, go back as many times as you need to. It saves me having to keep asking that same question over and over. How do I do this? Just having this library will set you up for life and worth it on its own. Now we're getting close to the part I deliberately saved, because there's one more model that completely changed the way I looked at YouTube. When I first discovered YouTube, I assumed that making money meant getting advertising revenue. More views, more subscribers, more videos. That was the game. But then I discovered something that gave me a completely different perspective. YouTube didn't necessarily have to be the thing that paid me. It could be the thing that brought the right person to me. And that was my light bulb moment. Affiliate marketing. Yes, affiliate marketing is the strategy I wanted to save until last, and here's why. You don't necessarily need to create your own product. You don't have to manufacture anything. You don't have to keep stock in your garage. And you don't necessarily need a massive audience. Instead, you can create one targeted YouTube video around a specific problem. That video attracts people who are already interested in the subject. You then give them a useful next step. That person can become a lead, they can join your email list, and from there you can recommend relevant products or services that genuinely solve the problem they're trying to solve. Depending on the programs you promote, commissions can be one-off, mid-ticket, high-ticket, or recurring. And that recurring element is particularly interesting when you're thinking about long-term income, because you're not necessarily starting from zero every single month. You're building an asset. A targeted video can continue attracting the right people. Your email list can continue working alongside it. And the offers you recommend can potentially generate commissions when people take action. That's very different from saying, I need to upload another video today, or nobody's going to make me any money. And that's why I like the idea of building what I call a simple one-video income system, not because one video magically makes you rich. It doesn't, but because one well-targeted video can become the first piece of a repeatable system. You can improve it, you can create another one, you can test another topic, and gradually build a library of targeted videos working together. So let's bring this back to your 30 days. Days 1 to 7, choose your audience, problem and opportunity. Days 8 to 14, create your first targeted videos. Days 15 to 21, start building the path from viewer to lead. Days 22 to 30, connect the pieces, your video, your lead magnet, your email list, and your income opportunity. That's your foundation. And remember, I'm not promising that you're going to make a specific amount of money in 30 days. I'm showing you how to stop researching endlessly and actually start building. Because sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't lack of opportunity, it's information overload. You don't need another 100 videos telling you 100 different ways to make money. You need one plan, one audience, one problem, and one simple system you can actually follow. If you want that step-by-step system, grab the free masterclass, the $0 $10,000 Simple Roadmap. The link is below this video, and if you're young, over 50, working full-time, semi-retired or already retired, the principle is the same. Your side hustle should fit around your life, not the other way around. So start with 30 days, not to become an overnight millionaire, but to prove to yourself that you can actually build something, and once you've done that, you can improve it, expand it, and let it grow. Now that you've learned how to start building your side hustle in 30 days, the next thing you'll want to know is which YouTube income methods are actually worth your time in 2026. Watch the only 3 YouTube money methods that actually work in 2026 appearing on the screen now. I'll see you over there. Stay well and stay safe. TTFN.